Let's talk about reactive emitters. Reactive emitters are emitters that react to a certain event. In my case, it was explosions. Explosions can be achieved in many ways in Call of Duty, the most common being grenades, anti-air weapons, and airstrikes. So whenever an explosion would happen, the reactive emitters would start sounding the moment the explosion goes off. Sounds like metal rattles, dirt, concrete debris, and water splashes, to name a few. When implementing, the goal is to make the reactive emitters sound around the player whenever an explosion happens. The biggest challenge I had was that we were limited to how much reactive emitters we could place, and only a few can sound off at the same time, or else it will be very loud and chaotic, so I had to keep it down to a minimum. With that in mind, interior implementation was slightly easier because of the closed space, opposed to exterior ambience where it's an open space, meaning they have to be spread out enough to where when an airstrike or a bomb hits, the emitters have to play around the players. Here are some examples of the interior implementation. Interior reactive emitters were slightly easier to implement because of the closed space and the walls, but implementing the exterior ones was more of a demanding task. I had to spread them out enough to where when an explosion happens, the emitters would react all around the players. Out of all the tasks I had, I would say this one was one of the most challenging. One of the things the team and I encountered were vehicles. We had specific sound reactive emitters for them. The thing is, whenever we would place one in the map, the vehicles were moved the next day, the next week. Pretty much every time we would grab a change. So we would have to go back in the map, remove them, or move them to the vehicle's new location. So rather than having to deal with that every time a new change is in, we decided to add them to the vehicle's model directly. So whenever the vehicle is moved, it would take the emitter with it. We mostly just did this with vehicles since vehicles were either 1, 2, or 3 around each other, and not many would be placed in a map. Here are some examples. All in all, reactive emitters are great at enhancing explosions. It gives the feel that the map is moving around you, which adds to the experience. And that was the goal I was aiming for as a Call of Duty sound designer.